Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Empire Builder New Math 101. This past year, I had the opportunity to sit down with AJ and go over some of this new math. And they're teaching things very differently than when I was in school, I've realized. And I guess it's become quite some time since I went through this. So I do have the ability to be able to sit there with him at times during the week due to my flexibility and be involved with homework and so forth, and it's really exciting. But I found myself pretty frustrated, almost lost, not sure what to do. And I consider myself a pretty good numbers guy at this point, my background in it, as you might all know. And they're asking things about not only just how to get the answer, but explain how you got the answer and show which method you got the answer. And to me, I'm all about the answer, right? It's like, if you know the answer, you get the question right. So this was pretty frustrating for me, to sit down and trying to do, fourth grade math or new math with AJ and feeling lost. And I don't know if any of you have felt like this before. If you do have children, you might have. But if you've owned a business, it made me think about 2 years into our business where it was one insurance company, one of our major insurance companies did not pay us for almost 3 months. Okay? And we learned the hard way we thought we had things under control and really familiar with numbers and budgets and what's coming in and out. And John and I couldn't take a paycheck because we had to pay our staff first and our bills, right, for 3 months, So there are times in our lives when running our business is as simple as fourth grade math, where if we are not on top of our numbers and our math and our business, you could feel completely lost, like it's almost a foreign language. So I'd like to thank everybody for your comments and shares. Please share this out. It's been incredible how many shares we've been getting and questions we've been getting about numbers and business and math. And I'm trying to hit all these topics to help you with your business or putting together your proposal for starting a business. But I really appreciate your time. And please keep the comments coming in and the questions. I really do take them into account when we're putting together these lives. So, my background growing up in New York is my dad would always talk to me about times tables in the car, and growing up in school was all about multiplication tables, division, and figuring out tips when you go to a restaurant. And that's really where it started for me to understand numbers. And I believe numbers dictate so much in our business and where we could go with our business and how do we scale our business. So business math for me is, let's talk about gross revenue, right? The most important number is gross revenue to me. I've been ridiculed for this at times, and some people don't really feel that it's an accurate assessment, but you need to grow your business. And if you are not growing your business, well, you cannot pay people. If you cannot pay people and provide great services to your clients, you have a problem, okay? So for me, gross revenue, your top line, is the money collected. All money's collected. Credit cards, checks, whatever way you want to call it at this point. But it's money that gets deposited in the bank, because that's the money you have to utilize to pay off things, right? So I don't want to hear about how much money I have billed, okay? Now there's two different accounting systems. You could talk with your accountant about it. There's a cash basis and an accrual basis, and sometimes billed in that second case would come into play. But for the majority of us using a cash system for our accounting, we need to know the money actually deposited in the bank, not bills we've sent out to people that are hopefully going to pay us or hopefully going to collect, right? Because as we know, once they're gone, not all of those bills get paid. And then it becomes costly to chase money, right? So you want to collect fees up front, okay? You want to be very upfront with your clients or your patients to make sure that they know what they are responsible for when they come in that day, okay? I don't like all this sending them a bill after and they don't know why and then they call. That all takes up time, right? And time is money, okay? It's lost money. We want to build efficiency. So gross revenue really is the big factor of what we're talking about. And I believe greater than 90% of your time should be spent on this, okay? You want to talk about growing the top line, okay? Focusing on the positive. Positive is growth through change. So now here's where I get a little bit more specific, where I feel growth for me and for this office or any business I run has to be 5% positive or greater than the year before. And again, people are like, well, you grew 1%. 1% is nothing. 1% is like losing, okay? It's like putting cash in the bank and letting it sit there and earn you no money, okay? You need 5% for true growth. And here's why. If you look at the statistics, last year, the average employee was given a raise of just over 3%, okay? So if your costs for your staff, your inflationary costs by means of your utilities, your health insurance costs, which sometimes are more, taxes or rent, whether you own your building or not, your space, utilities, retirement costs if you provide 401k or profit sharing, all of those costs go up each year. Okay, and that's why I look at a 5% of the gross or more as true growth, because all of those other 1, 2, 3, 4% are being eaten up by costs that you cannot control. Okay, so that brings us to net revenue. Net revenue is basically what is left over after all the expenses are paid. And I don't mean paying yourself as the owner, okay? I mean your staff, your cost of goods, all of these things we've talked about already. You have to pay insurance for people. You have to pay, utilities. All of the things that come up are things that you need to deduct from that top line, okay? And then you are left with your net revenue, okay? From there, as the owner, then you could decide how much money, if any, is left over. Because I'm going to tell you that the last I checked, over 2/3 of the businesses, or about 2/3 of small businesses in our country, were breaking even. And that's pretty sad, okay? So that means only 1/3 of us are making a profit. And the reason why is we need to understand math, business math, okay? It is very different than just opening a business because you have a great idea or you have a great product, okay? You need to set yourself apart and you need to know how to run a business, okay? And it's really, really important. So now net revenue type things that are expenses, you should negotiate. I am a believer in at least getting those 2 or 3 quotes. I recommend taking the month of January each year, okay? And negotiating those costs. That helps you set up a budget for the year. And I don't mean just your monthly expenses. I mean everything, because some expenses you pay once a year, okay? And if you pay them once a year, you need to break that down, divide it by 12, and come up with your monthly budget for what it costs you to do business. So you know what you need to generate to pay the bills, okay? And once you put all of this in place in January, then you could set this apart. So when you set it apart, it's like, okay, I have this pressure. I know I have to meet this dollar amount. And once I meet that dollar amount, everything over that is profit. Okay, so you start focusing on that part of things. Top line, grow the top line, because for the most part, for that 12 months, things are going to stay the same on your expense side. So really important to come up with a monthly budget on things, okay? That's January. And then after that, February through the rest of the year is about growth. Different ways, ideas, protocols to put in place to grow your business, okay? Once again, I really thank everybody for their time, their comments, and their questions, and their share outs. I really appreciate it. Please message me or send me an email if you have any other questions. Thank you for watching. And tonight we're just covering business math, gross revenue, net revenue. And a lot of businesses that I work with, they start out with this mentality of cutting, right? They all want to cut. You cannot cut your way to success, okay? It doesn't happen. You could cut so much, and you should be mindful of those things. But then you have to put them behind you and grow your company. Because if you keep cutting and focusing on cutting, what happens is it affects the culture in your office. Your staff sees that. Your clients or your patients see that. And if you're always doing this, it creates a negative environment. Make it exciting, okay? Focus on growth. Growth comes from change. Just because you've been doing it this way for 5 years or 7 years, and you're happy with that, but I'm going to tell you, at the end of the day, you're probably making less money, taking home less money than you were, okay? Because it happened to us in the beginning. You start getting cost conscious and you're like, where's the growth? It's not happening. We're taking home less, but we're doing more. And I'm sure people have felt like that out there. You feel like you're doing more to take home less money. And there's things that are really tough, that are out of our control. But if you keep growing things beyond, focusing on the positive, changing things for the better, okay? Because if you're going to sit there and try to negotiate a deal on a couple of dollars here or there, it's going to make you feel better for about 10 seconds, okay? And then after that, it doesn't matter anymore, right? So focus on growth. Growth comes from change, knowing your business numbers. This helps you put a plan into action for those next 11 months and for the future of your company so that you could grow it and you could scale it, okay? It sets you apart on those things. And don't you want to live in a more exciting lifestyle and atmosphere by always embracing new changes for your company? And I'll tell you, your staff is going to love you for it. It has done wonders for us when we put something new into place. Our patients and our clients come in, and we've gotten more positive reviews than ever. So it's a credit to our staff and the culture that they have built here. I appreciate your time very much. Thank you for joining me. I want you guys to have a great week. Take care.